are starting another read down vlog. Well, it's like a combo because several of you have commented in the last few months of like, hey, are you even still doing your reading Roberts project? And it's a fair question because I hit the 50% mark of reading Roberts, which is my project where I'm trying to read every book, novella, short story from Nora Roberts. We are quickly, she still is putting out 4 books a year right now. So we're quickly getting to the 300 mark of that. But I did hit more than 50%. I think as of recording, I'm at 52 point something percent through. So that's a lot. I've made good progress, but I have not been making progress in the last few months because I just haven't been thinking about it. So I thought that this would be a good 1-2 punch where I can read some of the physical books I have from her, which will achieve my goal of trying to get my physical TBR down to 100. But it will also be making progress on that endeavor. The other thing is I'm about to go on vacation, so I might read a couple of the ebooks that I have from her, which would not be a part of my read down project, but would be a part of this reading Roberts project. So with that in mind, we're going to be reading some Nora Roberts in this. And then maybe at the end of this video, I'll check in with you guys about like kind of what I'm thinking so far, like what my favorite Nora Roberts are right now, what my least favorite are, the kinds of books I'm liking, the kinds of books I'm not liking, just kind of checking in on where things stand. And let's see, 1% of 300 would be 3. So I don't think it's reasonable for me to try to get to 60% unless I just am DNFing a lot. So maybe I'll try to get to 55% done. So that would be me committing to like roughly 9-ish books, which given some of these are like category romances, that's potentially doable. So maybe that's what I'll try to do in this video, and we'll check in at the end. So I'm starting this today because my plan today is to do nothing. I need a rest day. And what is better than a Nora Roberts standalone on a rest day? Because these are, even when I don't love them, they're so readable and enjoyable. Like just in the moment, I enjoy reading them. I suspect, so I pre-ordered this one and I keep putting off reading it because I suspect I'm not gonna love this one because it involves a sneak thief. I don't know. Something about the vibe of this from the description, I don't know that it's gonna be for me because she's had a couple of Gentlemen of Thieves and I have not found them charming. So this is Harry Booth, who started stealing at 9 to pay his mother's medical bills. Let's see, when his mother finally succumbed to cancer after a long, valiant battle, he left Chicago but kept up his night work. Let's see. So he can't help letting his guard down when he meets Miranda Emerson, but it can't last. Whatever. Even in the back copy, it's going on about like code of honor and whatever, and I'm already rolling my eyes. So I'm suspecting this isn't going to be one of my favorites from her, but it should just be, I should be having fun on the ride, in theory. Let's see. Okay. Well, interesting results for good old Nightwork. Because I would say the first half of this was kind of what I was worried about in terms of, you know, the gentleman thief trope, which is not necessarily my favorite. And then like basically a second chance romance because homeboy gets blackmailed basically into having to abandon the heroine when they're both in college to run this job for this guy named Laporte. And he just like leaves her and she doesn't know why. And then she happens upon him like 10 years later under a different identity and like things go from there. So the first half I was like so on, maybe like a 2.5 star. Just not because of the book, just like I don't like those tropes very much. But I mean, 2 is a little harsh. I think like 2.5 probably. I loved the second half because it was a Nora Roberts heist, and I feel like I've not read that much of that from her. It kind of scratched the same like itch when in the In Death series they're doing some kind of sting operation. So I really enjoyed that part of the book. I will say in general I also enjoyed having the main protagonist be the male point of view rather than the female. Nora Roberts, I believe, was the innovator of even introducing the male POV into romance novels, or like at least the popularizer of that. You know, it's in her wheelhouse to run things this way, but I don't know that there's that many of her books where the male perspective is the main one. And this one, at least that I've encountered so far, I have like 150 of these left, so I'm sure it's somewhere else. But that was the situation with this, and I did like that part too. So I'm coming out somewhere between a 3 and a 3.5, I think, overall. I definitely enjoyed this. It's not one of my favorites of her standalones overall, but the heist part I did find very enjoyable. So yeah, kind of a book of surprises, which was nice. The next one I'm gonna read, I literally just went to my little mass market shelf of Roberts and looked for one that had book 1, and that is Blue Dahlia, which is the first book in the Garden trilogy. And all I know about it is Stella has a passion for planning that keeps her from taking too many risks, but when she opens her heart to new love, she discovers that she will fight to the death to protect what's hers. Okay, that is extremely vague, but it was published in 2004, and it's the first of a trilogy, I believe. And I see the prologue starts in Memphis in 1892. Okay, I'm a little worried, I'm not gonna lie. Please don't have a plantation. Or be next gen slaveholders. Okay, we'll find out. I'll check back in once I get going on this. I am about to get up and go on vacation, but just checking in that I tried to read Blue Dahlia and just was not in the mood, so I'm going to try again when I get back. But I am taking different Nora Roberts with me. I have a little bind up that I've already packed called, I don't remember, I want to say maybe From Dawn to Dusk is the name of the bind up, and then it has 2 titles in it that are both related to night in some way. I don't remember what they are. I think they're the beginning of a series, question mark, or maybe are related in some way. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Or actually, maybe they're just standalones, and the only reason they're bound up together is because they both have the night in the name. But we'll find out once I read it. I'll check in when I'm on vacation after I've made some progress. Hello, I come to you from vacation, where I have just finished. Oh, you can't, I'm all red because I've been cozied up here in bed. But I just finished the second of the 2 books in From Dusk to Dawn, which was Nightshade and Night Smoke. Okay, part the first. This is I think a 4 or 5 book series, and I just read books 3 and 4, so shame on me for not starting at the beginning. But it's very clear from kind of the dynamics of what's going on. I quickly realized that there must have been earlier books, because there were couples that clearly the story was like wanting me to be like, look, it's them. So that's my bad. But you know, it wasn't like I didn't miss anything in terms of plot. It's more just the dynamics. Okay, so all of these, from what I can tell, are category romantic suspense. Started like in the early 90s. And it's so interesting because I think these are from 93 and 94. And each of them, well, especially the first one, I'm like, this feels like an even Rourke precursor. Yeah. Okay, Nightshade is 93, and if I'm remembering rightly, the first in-depth novel is in 95. And then actually the second one, so Nightshade is the one that I think is a Rourke Dallas precursor. And then Night Smoke reminds me, I forget the name of the standalone with the arson inspector, but this is like a more toxic early 90s version of that. Okay, so Nightshade, I was interested in because of what I see as the parallels between the Rourke and Eve dynamic. In this case, we have super competent lieutenant in Denver. She has a snitch who gets murdered in front of the hero, who is a lawyer turned vigilante because he has friends whose daughter ran away. And content warning, the entire plot of this book is revolving around CSAM and trafficking. So for that reason, I did not enjoy this book, because how am I supposed to enjoy a romance when that is the plot in terms of what's going on? I don't know what this says about me, but if like something bad has happened to a child in a mystery or suspense book, I can kind of roll with it because it's like, okay, they're not suffering. But if I know that there's a child suffering in world, I find that so unpleasant and so difficult to read. So I didn't like the plot of this for that reason. But it was a pretty good version of a procedural type book. But it's like, how can I go from listening about this 13-year-old who's being trafficked for video stuff and then just like watch them be in love? Like, I don't know what it says about me that the murder stuff doesn't bother me with that. Again, I think it's because it's like, well, it's done. Versus in progress. I don't know. That I found really sad, and it's just not for me. I kept thinking, I was following the Madeline Soto case, and I just kept thinking about her, and I'm getting teared up just thinking about it. It made me really sad. But the detective, the lieutenant, female main character, has like nightmares from her assault, similar to Eve. Like, there's just a lot of parallels. And then in the next book, Night Smoke, we get, I'm not even going to try to describe the relationships between these characters because it's just, I would be saying the words sister, brother, husband, wife so many times that you would not be able to understand it. But just let's say it's in the extended family of the couple in Nightshade. In Night Smoke, it's a serial arsonist, and I thought that was really well done. I really enjoyed it. I'd give that one a 4-star. I'd give Nightshade honestly, if it was anybody but Nora Roberts, I'd give it a 2.5. I'm gonna give it a 3 because I did keep reading because I like her writing. But I would give Night Smoke a 4. I think it, especially for its time, very good suspense, arsonist, romance thing. But what's hilarious, I don't even know if I can say this with a straight face. What I have surmised is that in the first or second book in this series, there is a figure called Nemesis, and he is literally a Batman figure, but in Urbana, Illinois. I'm sorry, just the idea of a billionaire masked vigilante prowling the mean streets of Urbana. is just really funny to me. Because I was like, isn't her... I was like, is Urbana bigger than what I thought? And I looked it up and no, it is just a little bit bigger than my hometown of Knoxville. And I just found that so funny. So I can't wait to read that one. I can't wait to read that one. Okay, anyway. That really tickled me. So I liked Night Smoke, but I am now chomping at the bit to read about Nemesis, the Batman of Urbana, Illinois. Oh my gosh. Unless there's a different Urbana that I am not aware of, or if it's like a fake name for a fake city that actually is big enough for a Batman. That's gonna be really funny. Okay, anyway. Focus. So anyway, I finished 2 books, and now I have something to look forward to. Greetings. I come to you having finished 2 more books. I decided to go back since I discovered that the 2 books I read while I was on vacation were actually books 3 and 4. I went back and read books 1 and 2 in the Night Tale series. Night Shift and Night Shadows, I think were the names. So Night Shift, I liked pretty well. We saw these characters in their happily ever after in books 3 and 4. So I was familiar with them. But the main character, the 2 main characters, not Deborah, what's the sister's name? Selah is a DJ, a late night radio DJ who's getting intense harassing phone calls, and the police actually take it seriously and put 2 full-time detectives on it. Might be the most fictional part of it all. So yeah, romantic suspense, they're falling in love. You know, it's the early 90s, so he's a little too high-handed for my tastes. And I kept hearing in my, like when I was reading it, the voice of like a noir drama. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Mentopolis series of Dropouts Dimension 20, but there's this opening scene where they're doing like a pastiche of like a noir femme fatale going to a detective, and she calls herself Stacy Fake Name. And that was kind of the vibe I was giving to it. So yeah, I had fun with it. Yeah, it was fine. 3 stars. Then we got to Night Shadows, where we get to see Nemesis in action. And I won't just, I mean, it was making me laugh a lot. It still really tickles me. I won't subject you to me just sitting here giggling about it, but I could not fully take it seriously because of the preposterousness of some of that. So I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars for that reason. I will say, okay, pull it together. I'm trying to pull this together. Clearly this is one of the romantic suspenses that really presages the In Death series, because they're the sisters, so Selah and Deborah is the heroine of the second book, their last name is O'Rourke, then we have Rourke, and then it's the exact Eve and Rourke dynamic between Nemesis and Deborah. In this case, Nemesis is Batman, not a renowned like thief, gentleman thief kind of thing, which is what Rourke is in the In Death series. But it's like he's on the wrong side of the law, but he's got like noble reasons and he's rich as fuck. And then Deborah is a prosecutor with integrity instead of a lieutenant on the murder beat with integrity. So it's an interesting book in that sense, even aside from the absolute insanity of the premise. Okay, sorry, I've got to move on. We've got to move on from this. I do have one more book in the series that's number 5, and it's the daughter of the couple in the first book. So that will be interesting. And then when I was looking at my list, I realized there's only one other book. Like, I happen to have read Nightwork in this video, and then I'm reading all of these night tales, and then I have one more book that starts with night. So I feel like that's the other book I should read next. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, but we'll see what the library availability is like. Hello, we have read another book. So, Blue Dahlia. Came back to this one when I was more in the mood for the vibe. And I'll say this was kind of a slow burn in terms of my enjoyment. I guess that's been true for a few of these books. But at first I was like, I don't know. The thing, like, it created a big debate internally in me about the incorporation of the legacy of wealth derived from enslavement, which I'll explain why. But I kind of had a like circuitous journey with that. But by the end of this, I was very into it, and it's a trilogy, and I definitely am going to try to finish the trilogy soon because I want to just sort of binge it. But in essence, the setup for this is that there is this beautiful old mansion in Memphis that has been turned into, like, the family that has lived in it for a couple hundred years still lives there, but they also have this like really elaborate, beautiful ground situation, and they have turned that into like a garden center nursery kind of thing and a landscaping business, you know, greenhouses, trees, the whole 9 yards. And our main character is a widow who, confusingly, she becomes widowed in September 2001, and I don't believe there's any reference in this to the fact that 9/11 also happened in this window. So question mark there, because she's in Michigan and it's a commuter plane in Michigan. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But anyway, she becomes widowed. A few years later, she gets a job being the new manager of this. She's living in the house, because that's one of the stipulations of the job, with her 2 boys. The owner of the house, who's in her mid-40s, but has, you know, she got married, I think, at 18, so she has, like, grown kids, one of whom lives in the guest house. And our main character is having a romance with the lead landscape designer. And there's also a ghost in the house, so this is a Nora. It's currently October, so I'm a little more in the mood for ghosts. And of the flavors of Nora, the haunted version is definitely my preferred flavor. So I'm okay with that. We'll use the ghost to get into the things that I'm a little more uneasy about, which is the ghost is the mistress of one of the previous, like, masters of the house, let's say, who was a sex worker, became his mistress. The beginning, like, the prologue is her having a miscarriage, or a stillbirth, and that it presumably more is going to come from that in the next books to understand why she ends up haunting the house. Here's the thing. When you create a gigantic mansion outside of Memphis, and even reference that at some point cotton was grown on the grounds, and then there's no discussion of the fact that you're basically, this beautiful mansion is basically a concentration camp, it's distracting to me. I kept waiting for it to be addressed in some way, and it is not. In this book, at least. Maybe it will be in subsequent ones. I think the next book is going to be the owner of the house and this genealogist she's hired. I believe they're going to have a romance, and he's going to get into the family history, so I am hoping that there's more of a direct addressing of that in the subsequent book. But I found that very distracting. But then
spun me out thinking about like, okay, well, literally every historical romance I read where it's like the 19th century, their wealth has been built on some version of oppression. And it's not as directly distracting to me in those books because often it's at a distance that oppression is happening. But in this case, I do find it like some acknowledgement would be helpful to me, and I would find it less distracting. Because if there's gonna be a ghost, wouldn't it be of the people who were tortured on this land? And like trying to come back and get revenge on the people who are still living in the house and benefiting from the generational wealth that their suffering created? Just a thought. I mean, I know this is Nora Roberts' contemporary paranormal romance. I get that this was written, I think, in like the early aughts, but it did just create a big, loop in my head about that. So I am hoping at some point that is going to get acknowledged. I am very invested in the characters. I own an ebook of Black Rose, which is the second book. Red Lily is the third book, which I assume is going to be between this woman who ends up coming and living and working at the nursery, who was pregnant. She has the baby. Father's not in the picture. I think her and the son, the oldest son of the woman who owns the house, are going to have that romance in the third book, presumably. So that I have on hold at the library. I don't know if I'll get it for this video or not. But yeah, I'm enjoying the series. I did find the choice of location and history incorporation into the location distracting. And it was sort of like slow getting going. So I'm going to give this one a 3.5, but I would say by the end, I'm more in like a 4-star range and I'm very invested in continuing in the trilogy. So we'll see how far I get in this vlog because it'll depend on when the library comes through. I did get from the library Night Moves, which is the other standalone Night titled book. But I'm on hold for Night Shield, which will finish out the Night Tales series I've been reading in this video. And then the other physical book I thought I would grab is Western Stars. We've got Song of the West and The Law is a Lady. I believe these are both 1980s categories, so we'll see how that goes. But we're down to try them. So yeah, we're just clicking away here. I'm about to turn in, but I did finish up the second of the 2 books in this bind up today. So I thought I would tell you about both of them. So Song of the West. Well, I guess maybe I'll just say overall, it was interesting reading these back to back because there's such a noticeable difference. Excuse me, the quality of her writing between 1982 and 1992. This has to be, I think her first book was in 81. So this is like one of her very first books she ever wrote. And I actually thought her debut, which I think is Irish Heart, has a lot of the spark you come to think of from her, or like the verve, the writing quality. And Song of the West had like glimpses of that, but not much. So basically I was just reading a 1982 Western contemporary, which was not good, not very good. It did have enough moments of the Nora charm that I'll give it a 2-star, but there's twins. One of them is on bed rest for pregnancy. Her twin comes out to help her. There's a very high-handed cowboy rancher man next door who she spends the book having miscommunication with and being convinced he loves someone else. Yeah. 2 stars. And that's being generous. The Law is a Lady, you actually get that Nora Roberts writing I like so much, but it's still just tropes I don't really care for. So, yeah, it was just a reminder to me of how much her actual writing makes a difference in my personal enjoyment of these older category romances. This one is a 1990s contemporary with this hotshot director
breezing into small town New Mexico, and the local sheriff is a hot lady, and she throws him in jail for a traffic violation, and he's insufferable. And I just kept being like, I like her and not him the whole book. There's mom drama, as there often is in Nora Roberts' land. Yeah, it was okay. Again, the writing just makes such a difference on my page-to-page enjoyment, so I'll give it a 2.5 because I, wasn't angry reading it, but neither of these was great. But honestly, better because she wrote them, mostly. Like, if I'd tried to read somebody else writing a contemporary Western from 1982, I know it would have been much less to my taste in terms of the high-handedness, tropes, etc. So I'll just consider myself lucky that this is Nora and not someone else. I did start the first couple chapters of Black Rose, and I'm very much enjoying that, so I think that probably will be the next book I finish, but again, got lots of stuff in the library coming, so kind of hard to say. Hey, what's up? Hello! I finished another pair of categories that I had not talked to you guys about before, but I don't know, I'm in the mood for some Nora categories. That's what I'm churning through. So these are both in her Cordina royalty series. I'm once again clearly entering the series midway through. I will go back and read the first ones. These are romances. We know they're going to end up together. It's not that much of a spoiler. Okay, so mixed feelings here. I'm already somewhat of a hard sell for a contemporary royalty story. That's not really my favorite. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do with these, but I actually was really into the writing and really like the female leads in both of these stories. So in this bind-up, I have the Playboy Prince, which is, I think, the third one in the series, Bennett and Hannah. And then the fourth one is Cordina's Crown Jewel with Camilla and Delaney. So the problem with both of these is the male main leads. They are both awful in their own ways. So for the first one, I was really into it actually, because it had a little bit of a thriller suspense plot in terms of this kind of enemy of the family threatening them. And I don't want to get into spoilers, but like both of our main characters are involved in some way. And then there is a dubcon scene, aka dubious consent, that just made the hero repulsive to me. So it went from like a B+, like 3.5 to a 3, because I hated that scene. Dubious consent is a thing in today's romance market and more dark romances, but was like very common in this era. I think that this is one that was written in the 80s. Yeah, 87 was the original date on that one. So, it's of its time. I get why some people still like it today, but I don't like it. At least not in this kind of romance that's not going for like a dark tone. Yeah, I did not care for that. So that took that down to a 3. And then the second one, the princess is like taking a road trip through New England, which I literally just got back from doing. She's in rural Vermont, which is literally where I just was. And I really liked her. And the hero is just such a prickly asshole. And then, again, I don't want to spoil things, but he gets so mad at her for something. And then there is a reveal about him that I'm like, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. My God. So he was such a non-starter for me, but again, I really liked her. And this one like is the next generation. This one I think was written in 2002. Yeah, a little less problematic and just more annoying for the hero. I was just like, you gotta be freaking kidding me, dude. So anyway, I still enjoyed both of them. I gave both of them 3 stars, which I should say, that might sound low, but like category romances become dated so quickly. And even ones that are not out of date,
often are just like, they're just not that complicated of stories. So for me, a 3-star for a category means like I had a good time in it, I enjoyed myself. It's not remarkable necessarily, but like it was entertaining, gets the job done. So yeah, I actually am pleasantly surprised that I'm liking that series more than I thought I might. And with that, I think that gets me to my 55% goal. I'll double check the math. I'm still kind of in the mood to keep going. I still got a couple things out from the library, so I might read a little bit more for this vlog, or I might end it. TBD. We'll check in either to end it, or I might have one more check-in for reading.
All right, time to wrap this one up. I did read one more book. So I read Night Moves, which was a 1985 category, but definitely in the vein of a suspense mystery romance, because our heroine has just bought a house in rural Maryland. She's fixing it up. The hero is a landscape architect, and he, while he's digging out her pond, finds a body. You know, mysteriousness and love ensue from there. It was the classic Nora Roberts writing, so I really had a good time in it. You know, if I think about the characters, they're not as rounded. The tropes are of their time, so that keeps it from being like amazing, but it's one of the better categories from her I've read, so I'd give it like a 3.5, which is a B+. Yeah, you know, high-handed hero who is afraid to love, but that is just the 80s, you know. Anytime I complain about this, please just know that I'm contextualizing that in the sense of, at the time, these would have been considered like teddy bear beta sweetie pies in Romancelandia, because yeah, there's some interesting characters from that time that, you know, were, you know, I'm not, okay, so I have to launch into the whole like literary theory of why they were the way they were. I don't think we need to do that, but just, anyway. All that being said, I really enjoyed having some focused revisiting time with Nora. I have a couple of other ones on deck that I'm going to keep going with. I'm going to finish off the In the Garden trilogy. I just today got Night Shield, which is the last in the Night Tales from the library, so I'll read that. So yeah, so I'm moving and grooving, and hopefully this momentum will keep up with Nora Roberts. So in terms of where we're leaving off, I'll have to run the numbers. I'll put that up at the end, but I think I got maybe even to 56%. We'll see. And then, so definitely met that goal. I would say The Obsession is still definitely my favorite from her. I haven't found a new favorite since I started this project, though I have read several that I really, really enjoyed since starting my Roberts read down. And then least favorite, I did find a new least favorite. I forget the name of it, but it's a category where the hero, it's a paranormal, which I already don't love from Nora Roberts. I think, I will say, well, okay, let me finish my thought. It's a paranormal, they're like, I believe they're werewolves, or maybe witches or fae, and he is so unlikable that I'm rooting for the heroine to leave him. So I did not like that one. I think I gave it a 1.5 because it's not like the worst thing I've ever read, but I did not like that book. So I have found a new least favorite, but I haven't found a new favorite yet. And in terms of overall trends, like I said, validating that for me, the heavy paranormal ones, like the ones that I would say verge into genuine fantasy, genuine sci-fi stuff, I just don't, it's just not my taste. It's not for me. The ones where, the In Boonesboro trilogy, which actually I still have some tea from when I visited. That's probably the series I've read that I liked the most since I started this. And in that series, there's like a ghost, so I can kind of deal it. Like it mostly reads as a contemporary with just a splash of paranormal. That's what the In the Garden series is also like. So that I can kind of like make my peace with a little bit more, because I don't find it as distracting. But I do not really care for the ones where there's like full-on fantasy happening. I just don't think she's very good at building fantasy worlds. And maybe it's catering to like, hey, I don't normally read fantasy, so here's a splash of that. I could see that. Or maybe people who do read fantasy and like these just are more able to kind of just go with it. I just have not found one yet where I really can. So as things stand, I'm still excited to keep going. I do still have a lot of categories left. I think I might do I was looking and there's, I want to say 7 or 8 novellas that I need to read. So I'm thinking about doing a vlog with short stories, so maybe I'll make that like part of that vlog to get through those. And I think this is just in general a good reminder to me that these categories do make good palate cleansers, so I think trying to get more intentional about bringing those back into the mix. So with that, I think that's where I'm going to leave this one. And let me know if you've read any of the books I talked about. Let me know your thoughts on Nora. What is your favorite book from her? Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, hit the bell if you want to know when I'm going to post, because I don't even know. And yeah, take care of yourself. Please take care of your neighbors, and we'll just talk soon. Bye!